Hey guys, welcome to the MX garage. Today we work on
until I then finally turned off the key.
last video we did the pulley swap and removed the governor, so it's actually going quite quick. However, the throttle pedal, I don't trust it and it's way too flimsy. And if it breaks, it might just be stuck in open throttle, so that we definitely have to address. The brakes were only temporary and they work kind of. Those things definitely need to be done so we can go for max speed run later, as well as lowering the seat a little bit, figuring out where to put the shifter. In addition, I hope we also get the rear fender done. I will show you everything I do and hope you enjoyed the video. I will start off with the throttle pedal. Let me guide you through what my idea is. Honestly, I don't have a big idea. I can either use this, which is the throttle pedal of the green lawnmower behind me, or I could just take the clutch pedal off and flip it to the other side. I might do that since I don't need the clutch pedal, since I have a centrifugal clutch in the pulley. I took the clutch off and disconnected the clutch beam, which is connected to the idler pulley, and made a dry fit just to see if everything fits, and it does. So next up I will remove the old throttle pedal and make a hole so the beam can go through and connect it up again. You can see in the background here, this is attached to this. So I think instead of having the throttle pedal come over here, I will have it over there. This will also reduce the distance it has to travel, which is good. This is what I came up with. I drilled a hole through the beam and connected one of those guys so the spring can pivot and doesn't bind up. I put the spring under tension, put a bolt through this. Now I have a very sturdy throttle pedal, so I can shake the entire lawnmower with it and I'm not worried about this breaking. So this worked actually pretty well. The next step is to go to the other side and connect the throttle cable. Since the throttle cable comes off this side, the distance is much closer to this bracket here, and which allows me to route it much nicer and with less hard bends. This is actually from the clutch pedal, so the other side, and I just made a little hole so I could connect it, and this goes straight to the carburetor. That side I didn't change. The throttle pedal is finally done, and let me show you. So if I push here, this will move. The only thing I might adjust is the spring, since you have to put a lot of force to actually push the throttle pedal. It might be okay when you're sitting, but it might also be a bit much. But at least the throttle pedal is always returning. So with that, I will leave it for now. And this is a tether cutoff switch. So you have the wire connected, and if you fall off the lawnmower and connect this circuit, I will use this instead of the typical cutoff switch on the seat. I took the switch off, which was under the seat. However, I will modify it a little bit so I only need the wire. We'll go to the white wire, and the black wire will be connected to the chassis. What that will do is lead the spark, which usually goes to the spark plugs, to the frame, and by that there won't be any spark and the lawnmower will turn off. I will probably connect it somewhere around here, so it's easy and convenient to get to and it's not in the way of anything. The kill switch is installed. I had to remove this. There's a little opening here. To remove this, I had to remove the steering wheel. Then I could hook up the wiring. I did a small hole here. Now the negative terminal has two wires connecting it. I didn't fully connect it because most likely I will have to take the battery off, and I might reroute this wire, but for now I'm happy with it. Next up, I will lower the seat. I decided to keep the spring because it's actually good to keep the tension and it's not in the way of the belt when you have to take it off. But there's quite a bit of space here, so I will lower the spring by this much. I will drill a new hole here and here. And after that, I will measure what the minimum height is for the seat or for the bracket. Then I will cut off those two and the sides. This is what I came up with. I lowered the spring as far as possible. There's only a small gap. And in addition, I also rotated the shift linkage. Let me get a better angle. This mounting point down here used to be up here, so I basically mirrored it and had to re-weld this one and the shift lever. But now I can go to all the way from reverse to neutral, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this works. Next up is to cut the brackets shorter, so they're only slightly higher than the spring. It's the next day, and I marked what I want to cut. Let me show you. I marked what I want to cut, so I will get to cutting it. I will keep it high in the end so I can mount the rear plate, but I will get to it and then, like always, show you the result. Well, I fucked up. This piece I was supposed to leave with a hole in it so I could mount it, but I will continue cutting for now and then figure it out. I cut all the pieces and welded this back on. I only ground this side down so I could fit the plate back on easily. Most of the welding is on the other side. Next up is gonna be the seat. I will fabricate some brackets again. I cut some pieces and used some magnets to hold them in place. So now I can check if the height is clearing everything. Let's see. This looks good, and over the spring as well. Yes, plenty of space. So I will weld it, and now everything is welded. And this is really sturdy. It's still warm, so I shouldn't touch it. Next up, I will assemble the plate and see where I need to support in the back. And with that, the seat is lowered. As mentioned earlier, I added this bracket and attached the plate to it from the seat. Now I added these studs, so it's actually perfectly on it. This I will exchange with some bolts later, but for now, this looks pretty good. And this is how it looks with the seat. I can still open it, everything functional. I installed another version of temporary brakes. As you can see here, it's just bicycle brake connected directly to the brake. It's only temporary because the position of the brake is a little bit awkward. In the other race mower, I have it like this, where it's directly on the steering wheel. And this actually works quite well. I'm debating if I will do the same again. The other thing I'm working on, which you probably already noticed, is that the rear body panels are back on. I'm at a point where I put everything where I think it's supposed to be, but I'm not quite sure, and I will first be sure when I cut some more things and put the seat on to see if the seat fits. First thing, cutting, make space for the seat, and then I will catch you up on how it's going. After a lot of cutting and figuring things out, putting it, cutting more, and so on, I came up with this. Let me show you in detail. This is the easy side, where I basically have the fender just connecting to this. This I want to cut a little bit, so it's gonna be easier to take off the wheel and look a little bit better in my opinion. There's a big hole here. This part would also be taped, but I didn't do that because of the clamps. Another little hole here. And this was the tricky section. I don't know how good the camera is picking up, but there's a gear lever and it fits barely. My plan is that this is gonna be quite steep, and then there's basically a plate going all the way down here, also connecting to this, and this should be a little bit further down. This is still not everything I have to do, because right now this would be completely floating, so I need to strengthen it up. I did the first one. It's quite simple. I just cut a square in the right size and then bended it. And now it fits with the bend. So next up I will take off the panels, weld this plate on. I checked the rear panel and it looks decent. I'm not a pro welder, so, and I also tagged those. Now it's time to put it on top and see how it looks. I quite like it. It gives a pretty good look. I got the fender in the position I wanted, held it in place by those and this one. Now I just want to show you guys how I did a piece like this. It has like a wavy edge and it's bent, so it's a little bit more tricky. So what I did is I would take a piece of cup or cardboard, put it how I wanted, trace the outline, and then cut it. After cutting the cardboard, I got this piece, which fit into the hole. This piece I put on some sheet metal, traced it out, used the angle grinder then to cut it. I marked also where the bend is, which I then marked on the piece and give it a bend, which gives me a piece like this, which I then can weld in. And now it's tacked. As you can see, I just did some spot welds, and the next plate will be kind of a square, but it's going a little bit down here, so it's clearing the shift lever. As you can see, I put a cardboard underneath and trying to get it in position how I would like it. Then I just go. I take a scissor, which allows me to cut it. And this fits now in the edge. I mark this point. Now I just use something so I can bend it a bit. I'll put a little mark here and here. I made a line so I know where to cut it again. Double checking if it fits. I need to cut a little bit of the up here where I have the mark. Now I can use this to trace out on the sheet metal, cut it out, bend it and weld it in. So that's what I will continue with. This is how far I got today. It's actually getting quite late again. Today I managed to do the rear mount and the left side. I will of course grind it down and paint it later on. As you can see, the shift lever clears and I'm quite happy with that. Tomorrow I will focus on the other side and assemble the seat and battery and those things. If you watch until this point, thank you so much for watching, but please stick around until the end. It's the next day and I will continue the work from yesterday. Today I will do the right side where the tape is. I added the last plate here, the seat, mounted the hooded back on. I'm considering to add another couple of bits to the fender. The plate here, something to cover up this hole here, but that will be another time. I'm not sure if I can get all those things done before the race, but I will see about that. The only thing missing is to put the battery back on. Just to give you an idea of how much we actually lowered the seat. The bottom of the seat down here used to be up here. So we lowered it roughly by 35 centimeters. And considering that the driver is a quarter to a third of the entire weight, lowering the weight so much is a huge benefit. The last thing I added is this strap, just to keep the battery roughly in place. I will upgrade it later, but for now I think it will do. I forgot one thing. 3 test runs. So the first test run was very short. I realized I didn't tighten the belt properly. The spring wasn't engaged, so the belt was slipping. The second test run felt weird. I could drive the lawnmower. I had no brakes at all. They're just decoration at this point. I need to definitely look at that. But every time I give it throttle, the motor would go down in RPM and come slowly back up, which was indicating me that either it was missing air or was missing fuel. So I parked it in front of the garage and put it in neutral, tried to put the throttle down and see how it behaved. I removed the air filter to see if it was missing air, and I tried to open the choke a bit to increase the fuel to air ratio. That didn't help. Then I looked at the fuel tank and it only had like 20% of fuel, which should be enough in theory, but I thought maybe if I fill it up all the way, then it should have more pressure, and that helped. And then it was actually ripping again. I didn't dare to check if I could hit the top speed, since I didn't have brakes and I only have so far I can roll.
I did some last minute test runs down here to see how fast I could go. Obviously the brakes still don't work and I nearly crashed. So I came down here and of course I didn't have any brakes and I was going quite fast and it's super bumpy. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but I was literally jumping. And so I wouldn't drive into the field. I was actually driving down here and I realized I never tested the cutter switch because that didn't work. I pulled the cutter switch and kept rolling and rolling and rolling until I then finally turned off the key. But we hit 40 kilometers an hour. So that's a positive.
If you actually watched to the end of this video, I'm impressed. You're one of the few ones, so thank you so much, and I hope you want to subscribe and follow me in the future. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time.